Hello, this is Bruno pelletier-bacquaert. So today we are going to target the thirds and sevenths of the song. And to do that, I'm going to send you back to what I showed you one or two videos ago, where we were looking at those three-note voicings. Remember, C minor, F7, B flat major 7th, E flat major 7th, A minor, flat 5, right? But we're not playing fifths here. D7, and then G minor 6. Okay, so review those, and then we're ready for the next step. So what we're going to do now is simply remove the bass. So I'm just going to play two notes, and it's going to be this for C minor, F7, B flat major 7, E flat major 7, A minor, D7, and here's my G minor 6. Right? So very important to hear that and just do that with the metronome. You know, not too fast, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Really get used to hearing that. And then we would go to a G7 if we were going to repeat it. And by the way, let me show you a little trick here. Well, it's not a trick, but it's just something that's important to know. If I'm looking at my G7 with the bass note as being here, these are the thirds and sevenths. I have actually the B and F here. Now, if I'm looking at G7 up here instead, and if I remove the bass as well, I'm going to look at the same shape, but my thirds and sevenths are flipped around. Now I have B and F, whereas here was B and F. So that's important to realize because this shape looks just like this shape, but that's not the end of it. If I were to move that shape, it's a tritone, by the way, between F and B. If I were to move this little shape in minor thirds, that's a way to move around throughout the dominant chord. And what notes am I playing? Well, remember we're thinking G7, so this is F and B. I'm going from the lower string, right? So this is F and B. If I move this shape up a minor third, I'm playing now A flat and D. So A flat would be the flat 9 of my G chord, and D is the 5th. And if I move again another minor third, I land on my third and 7th again. This is B and F. And if I were continuing up another minor third, I land again on D and A flat. So respectively the 5th and the flat 9. So if I were moving like this, I'm playing the same notes, and it still will sound like a G7 with a flat at 9. So it's helpful because remember, since we're repeating the first section, if I wanted to start again with this C minor, just like at the very beginning, then I could use this little device to move up the neck without, you know, having too big a leap, and then I land again on my nearby C minor 7. So let me do this. I'll play the A section twice and show you how I can work that little thing in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, C minor, F, B flat, E flat major, A minor, D7, G minor 6, G7, and then that's C minor 7 again, B flat major, E flat, A minor, D7, and then I finish on my G minor 6 for 2 measures then. So I'm just going to concentrate on those 8 measures on that A section, because the rest of the song, as you know by now, it's the same chords that keep, you know, turning around. So everything that I'm going to discuss today with that first eight measures, repeated or not, you can use throughout the song. So the next step would be to play those same two notes, thirds and sevenths, but linearly, meaning I'm going to play one, then the other. And I'm always going to try to play the third first, then the seventh. So for C minor, it's giving me this. And then down a half step, I land into the third of my F chord. And that's the seventh of my F7. Down a half step, I land on the third of my B flat major chord, and here's the major seventh of my B flat chord. Down a whole step now, I land on the third of my E flat major chord, and this is the major seventh of my E flat. On that same string, I go down a whole step, land on the third of my A minor, and here's the seventh of my A minor. Down a half step on that same string, I land on the third of the D7, that's F sharp, and this is the seventh of my D7, and then down the whole step, I would land on the third of my G minor, and this would be the sixth. Okay, so I have this very smooth meandering line, but I'm basically doing nothing but bouncing back and forth between the third and the seventh, the third, the seventh, the third, the seventh of each chord. And it's this very interesting and easy to memorize line. And we're going to think of this as a guide tone line. So let me do this in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can vary the rhythm a little bit. So that's basically all there is to it. So I would recommend that you do that several times. You can even break it down without the repeat. Just stop here. Just go 8 measures and then stop here. But really hear that movement nicely. And then we're going to boil things down a bit more. Instead of bouncing back and forth between the two strings, I'm going to stay on one string. And if I look at the highest note of the two, that E flat, so now I'm going to think of only that one note, which is the third of my C minor. And when it's time to get to the F7 chord, I'll move to the nearest note. Now it so happens that E flat is going to be both the third of the C minor and the seventh of the F7. So I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stay on that E flat. However, when it's time to hit the B flat major chord, I need to go down a half step and hit the D, which is going to be the third. But that D note is also going to be the seventh of the E flat major chord. So I'll repeat that note again. Then eventually I go down a whole step, and that will be the third of my A minor, right? Which will then turn into the seventh of the D dominant chord. And then finally, I'll go down the whole step and land on the third of my G minor chord. So in time, it's going to give me this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm using a little bit of rhythmic variations. I mean, we could stay probably at first just playing the notes nice and plain. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, like that. But as soon as you get comfortable with hearing those notes, try to play a little rhythmic variations. I'm still not adding anything at this point. Just we're talking rhythmic variations. So let me give you maybe another example. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so just repeat the notes, double them, triple them. and get used to hearing that guide tone line now on the one string. So we're simply moving up and down the string. Now I'm going to play a little bit around those notes. I'm going to start adding some extra notes, little chromaticisms, passing tones, things like that. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's making things a little different. I'm introducing a little bit of tensions, slurring into one note, playing above and below, encircling some of those tones. Let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-do-do, baby, ba-do, baby, da-do, ba-do, 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 da-do, ba-do, okay, so you know where we're getting at, and it's also important to sing all that stuff because that's how the ideas are going to come. I'm not analyzing those neighbor tones, those passing tones. I kind of hear that something is going to feel right, and if you're used to hearing those important notes, those thirds and sevenths that are really letting us hear what the chords are, you can't go wrong. Now don't go too far. Or I should say, don't go too fast. Really. So go back to hearing just the 3-note voicings, then remove the bass note. Play between the 2 strings, play your 3rd and your 7th, just bounce back and forth between the 2 strings, and then concentrate on 1 string alone. Now, I did this on the 3rd string, but guess what? We could have done that, and I'll do it in a second, on the other string, on the 4th. So that means for my C minor, I would have B flat, and then I go down a half step, and A would be the 3rd of my F chord. But that A is still going to be, the A is going to be the major 7th of the B flat. I'm getting you confused here. Okay, so remember, if you use these shapes to guide you through, basically we're just going to play what we had on the 4th string. That's what I should have said in the first place. So C minor, F7, B flat major 7, E flat major 7, A minor 7, D7, and then E would be the 6th. We actually, after the F sharp, in this case, we can think of 2 options. Either we go down into the 6th, or we could resolve into the root. I mean, I know you always hear that resolving into the root is not such a good idea, but here in this case, we could get away with that. So let me play this little figure in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do it again. Now I resolve into the root. Okay? So C minor, F7, B flat major 7, E flat, A minor, D7, G minor 6. So I'm going to play again the guide tone on the 4th string. Okay, so this is to give you ideas to map out your improvisation. Eventually, you're not going to play that just on 1 string, even though you can. There's no law that says you cannot. It's a great exercise, actually, to improvise on a chord progression up and down a single string. But this is just to help you see how everything moves very linearly, and all those notes are very nearby. And eventually you can improvise, you know, a little more freely, just anywhere. So I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing here, but I know that I was hitting a lot of those thirds and sevens along the way. I mean, I kind of rushed through it. You know, maybe I should have paid a little more attention to the time. Should have done that with a metronome to really help you hear. But you know, I was still playing in time, and if you listen, you know, a few times, you should be able to hear the changes in what I was just doing it in a hurry. But you know, like I said, one thing at a time. Work on up and down your single string for now, and you're on the right track. Okay, bye.